So a dangling modifier refers to a modifier usually at the beginning of the sentence that does not have anything to modify, or at least doesn't have the right thing to modify. Both of these examples on the screen right now are examples of sentences that have dangling modifiers. The first one says, at the age of 6, my grandparents moved in with us. So instinctively, you kind of know that the speaker or the narrator or the writer would probably be the one who is age 6. However, according to this sentence, the grandparents moved in when they were 6 years old. And so I'll explain why. So you have this opening modifier right here, at the age of 6. This is trying to modify something or describe something. And so it's a modifying phrase that's at the beginning of a sentence. It's followed by a comma. The rule is that whatever follows that comma is the thing that the introductory phrase modifies. So according to this sentence, at the age of 6, comma, well, what's right after the comma has to be what this phrase modifies. So according to this sentence, my grandparents are the ones who did something at the age of 6. So to correct this, I'll just type it on here because my computer's not cooperating. To correct this, you would say the age of 6. Well, regardless of how you're going to end the sentence, what has to follow the comma is the thing that is 6. So you could say, I don't know, gave up my room so that my grandparents could move in. Oops, sorry, I can't type and talk at the same time. I gave up my room so that my grandparents could move in. Or you could just rewrite that whole opening part and just say, when I was 6, my grandparents moved in with us. Okay. And so now you've corrected the problem because you have added that I in the opening phrase. So this modifier is really no longer a modifier. It's just an adverbial phrase, which is kind of complicated. But the point is, it already names the noun who was 6. So it's not looking for something to modify. This one up here is looking for something to modify. So it's going to modify the thing that's right after it. Next example, while shopping for a dress, comma, the sales clerk approached us. So while shopping for a dress is a modifier, and it wants to modify or describe the noun that immediately follows the phrase. So while shopping for a dress, it's going to modify what's next. Well, what's next is the sales clerk. So the question is, was the sales clerk shopping for a dress, or were we shopping for a dress? According to this sentence, the sales clerk was shopping for a dress. So that is a dangling modifier because here's a modifier, but it is not modifying the right thing. The meaning is not coming across as the writer intended. So you could say, shopping for a dress. Again, regardless of how the sentence ends, it has to be we. You could say we were approached by blah, 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 or something like that. Or you could say, while we were shopping for a dress, the sales clerk approached us. So that's a dangling modifier. That's what you need to be aware of as you try to shuffle and combine sentences. You just need to be careful that you're combining them without having any confusion. Another example, we won't go through all of these, but here's another example of a dangling modifier. Rushing to get dressed, my shoelaces broke. Rushing to get dressed is a modifier. It needs to modify something, and what it's going to modify is what immediately follows it, which in this case is shoelaces. Shoelaces can't rush to get dressed. So we know this is a daily modifier. So to change it, we would say something like, rushing to get dressed, I broke my shoelaces. So the point is, what follows that introductory phrase has to be the noun that it's modifying. Here's an example of a sentence that does not have a daily modifier. This is a correct modifier. To study the effects of alcohol, researchers fed a dozen mice beer. So to study the effects of alcohol, well, who is trying to study the effects of alcohol? Does it make sense that that would be researchers? Can researchers study the effects of alcohol? Yes. So this is not a misplaced or a daily modifier. That one works as it is. So those are some examples of what to watch out for as you revise. The final revision task is, I'm not even going to go into detail on it. This is very basic, and it is something that, quite honestly, shouldn't be an issue for a 12th grade AP student. However, it is, unfortunately. Please watch your comma splices. This has to do with just knowing basic sentence structure. A comma splice is demonstrated in this example. Never again would I be oblivious to this mistake, comma, I would prevent this from happening to other children. This comma is trying to join what are two independent clauses. An independent clause is simply a fancy word for a complete sentence or a complete idea. So never again would I be oblivious to this mistake is a complete thought. I would prevent this from happening to other children is a complete thought. You can't join two independent clauses or two complete thoughts with just a comma. You can use a comma plus a conjunction, like one of the fanboys, for and nor, but or yet so. You can join two independent clauses with a semicolon if the two clauses are related, like these are. Or you can join two independent clauses, or you can actually separate two independent clauses by adding a period in between them. So just take a few minutes and make sure that your sentence structure is correct. In summary, these are the 4 revision tasks we looked at in this series. So reducing the number of be verbs, you're going to try to eliminate half of your be verbs. You're going to eliminate wordiness, looking out for passive voice, needless repetition, worded phrases and clauses. You're going to combine sentences and very beginnings, but be careful of daily modifiers, and you're going to watch your comma splices. Please make sure that when you turn your final draft, your work throughout your drafts shows evidence that you have paid attention to these things, as these process is part of your rubric. So take some time, do a great job, and I look forward to reading your final drafts.